All right. We are live. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay. We are live. If you're in here, let me know if you can hear me. We are live. All right. If you're coming in, let me know your branch of service and the state or country you are living in. We're going to wait until we get a few people in the room. We got four so far. All right. See, can we get a few more? At least about 5 or 6. But while we're waiting, I am the H-Town vet. And if you can hear me, let me know. I am the H-Town vet. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. All right, let's see. Okay, so So I'm audible, so I'm clear. Thank you. This is the first time I've done it where I can have the full screen. All right. So far, we got Carrie in the house, Andrew in the house. We got Donald in the house. We got Marvin in the house. All right. Let's get started on this here. This is a very important topic that we need to discuss today. And I don't want to focus on me. I want to focus on what we're doing here tonight. This is a sheet that every veteran that's disabled should have, but the VA is very reluctant to give it to us. So we got our first. So branch of service and where you're living. Okay, let's pull them up. Here we go. We got Donald, real estate agent. All right, expat. Oh, Army from Florida. He's living in Florida. He's an expat. Where you at now, Donald? Where you living at now? Are you overseas? Or are you right there? Are you in Florida right now? All right, let us know. Now let's see Marvin. Here we go with Marvin. We got Marvin here. Marvin coming in from North Dakota. Okay. We got Marvin from North Dakota. All right. Oh, in the Village, Florida. Okay. USM, USMC. We got a Marine in the house. I'm Army like Donald. Okay, let's see what else we got. Donald's talking about the Village, Florida. I don't know what's FI stands for. So if it's not Florida, okay, I guess I got it wrong. Philippines. I'm assuming that's the Philippines. Let us know, Donald, if that's the Philippines. Because I know a lot of our veteran brothers over there. So then we got Carrie, Navy, Jacksonville, Florida. Well, I'm Army, so let me put that in there. I gotta participate too. I'm Army, and that's of course I'm from the great state of Texas, born and raised. That's why I am the H-Town vet. Uh-oh, we got, hold on, Andrew, Washington, D.C. There were few, let me tell you something, Andrew. There were few brothers to you. Andrew, hi, he's Army also, Washington, D.C. I miss quite a few brothers from Washington, D.C. and a couple of from Delaware. I say, man, that's a small place. So let me shout out to you also, Andrew. Now, here we go. What we got here? We got, well, that's the H-Town vet. That's me. I'm talking to myself. All right. I'm glad everybody's participating. This is kind of a impromptu live, so I do apologize, but I want to get the information out so that I didn't interfere with anybody's weekend, okay? So what we're talking about is the VA rating code sheet. When you got approved or your award from the VA, they should have your decision letter in there, and they should have several other things. One of the sheets that should be in there, the decision letter, I forget the other one. How can I forget it? And I've been doing this for a long time. Also, it should be the VA rating code sheet. They don't like putting it in there. And at the end of this live stream, I'm going to tell you why. All right. They don't like doing that. Okay. Now, so tell me this here, Donald, how long have you been in the Philippines? And do you come back at all? So we're going to get started while he's saying that. So here we go. We're going to get started on the and ask me any questions in the process. That's no problems at all. We will respond. That is no problem at all. Let me get this banner down. Let me see. Come in. All right. So branch of service, as you come in, we want to know your branch of service and where you're living right now, what state or country you're living in. All right. Now, so let's get started here. Well, what we try to do here at the H-Town Vet, we're going to break down this sheet because this is important, because a lot of times we don't understand it. We're going to try to keep it simple. Well, we're going to keep it simple. The problem is the VA has so much paperwork, they don't even tell you the form names. They don't tell you what this is, what that is. It took me an excruciating time to get the proper names for forms. You ask for an award letter, they give you something else. If you ask for the decision letter, they give you something else. Okay? Now, we want to keep it simple here, and it's very important to keep it simple. And one thing about this form that I want to tell you, it keeps it simple. This form keeps it simple. All right? If you're just getting into the chat, I want you to go ahead and give us your name and branch of service. I mean, not name, branch of service and where you're from. All right? Do that for us. We would appreciate it. If you just you're just coming in. We're just getting started, so you ain't really missing it. Put your branch of service, the state or country that you are living in, okay? We want you to do that. All right, we got that on the banner. Now, all right. So he's 1 hour from Orlando, Florida. Okay. Don telling us he's 1 hour from Orlando, Florida. I've only been in the Panhandle. The farthest I went was Pensacola and Jacksonville. Then I take 95 all the way up. Now, back to this here. The goal of the VA code sheet is to break the codes, to let you know, and this is what it looks like. If you've never seen this form, you need to get a copy of it. It's very important because it's a summary of almost all your ratings. It has very important codes on it that you need to be aware of, okay? So this is a very important form. And the VA don't like giving it out. They're supposed to give it to you when you get your award packet, but they are reluctant to do so. Now, you must understand something about what it's dealing with. It's dealing with health status. This code sheet, like all of your documents, when it deals with VA compensation, it deals with your health status. It could be a mental health status, or it can be uh, a physical health status. Now, I want y'all to put a 1 in the chat if you rated, you have ratings for physical ailments. If you're a disabled veteran, if you rated for mental health, put a 2 in the chat. So I gotta follow it too. If you got both, you put a 1 and a 2. All right. So put that in the chat. So you need to understand this is dealing with codes related to your health, mental health, and physical injuries. All right. Now, here we go. Now, understand who's keeping track of this. The VA. The VA is keeping track of these things. It's so important that you understand that the VA is the one who's keeping track of this information. 0% mental health, that's key. Donald, that's key. I'm going to tell you why. A 0% rating, I got one. I thought that meant I didn't get any benefits. No, it doesn't mean that at all. You get certain benefits. Watch our last live stream, and I'm a matter of fact, this code sheet covers 0 ratings. We'll explain. Okay. Now, here's the thing. This code sheet is all about status. Okay. What is your status? What's the first status it covers? One of the statuses that it covers, are you service connected? Okay. Marvin got both physical and mental. I think I put the wrong one. I think I was supposed to put, H-Town Vet lied to you. Mine is mental. So I had to correct that. So correction. I do apologize. I was false flagging on that, and I do apologize. I said mental for 1 and mental and physical for 2. I hope I'm right. Now, either you're service connected or you're not. We are all veterans. All right, DC. He's both physical and mental. Okay, both mental and physical. Now, it deals with whether you're service connected or not. And with a 0% rating, Mr. Donald, you are service connected. Now, it's with that condition, you're not rated for it, but we're going to do everything we can to help guide you with the information you need, and help all of us along the way. And we want y'all to share information also, okay, on how we can help each other, because we are the experts. There are no VA experts. Remember this. There are people that are knowledgeable. The only expert about your condition is you, because you're the one that's experienced it. Now you need to know how to take your experiences and use it as evidence and back it up with VA law. So there are no secrets. All these people telling you secrets, there are no secrets. It's just evidence and VA law and how you submit that information. Now back to the first status we're concerned, are you service connected or not? We're talking about it right now. Some are service connected for mental health conditions. Some are connected for physical conditions or injuries. And some are service connected for both, like Mr. Andrew out of DC. Shout out. Now, the other one we're going to talk about is the condition itself, the code for the condition and code number. Okay, so we're going to talk about the conditions or conditions and their code number. All right, that means you're service connected. Now, this is the one that I want all of you to pay attention to. Please listen to me. Please listen to me. Combat status code. You make sure your combat status code is correct, because if something ever happens to you, they may not want to help your family in the proper way of you getting your benefits if there's conflict between your combat code status and it says somewhere else on the document. We want to go over all this on the code sheet. It says that you were in country, but your combat status says that you're not a combat veteran, or vice versa. You're not a combat veteran, but they got the code that you are a combat veteran. So you want to clear all these things up and make sure this is right. So if you have a copy of your VA code sheet, you need to make sure you look over it. And we're going to give an example today. Now, this is, talk about all of these are important, but this last one, it affects all of us that are disabled veterans. Do you have any future exams scheduled? This is really important to understand. Y'all put any information in the chat that y'all want to say, no problem at all. Any future exams. Now, if anybody in here that's service connected, if you don't have any future exams scheduled, put a no for no future exams, put a yes for future exams. If you know. And if you don't know, put a question mark. So if you have a future exam, put yes. If you don't have any future exams, put no. And if you don't know, put a question mark. All right. So this is very important. Do you have any future exams? So we got to know over here. Okay. See, this is what we want to make sure that we're informed on these things. Okay. Now, when you have these future exams, you need to find, if you have a future exam, you need to make sure you keep track of this information, because if you don't go to that future exam, that could cause you to lose your benefits. If you don't go to an examination, call a CMP examination or whatever they're calling it at the VA now, if you don't go to those examinations, that could cause you to be delayed from getting another one. So you got to, okay, so we have a yes here. That's good, Mr. Marvin. That's why we need people like you sharing the word. So you know future exams. Now he said yes, he got future exam. So that's good to know. So you need to make sure you're aware when those future exams are coming up. Now, let me ask here, does anybody know what a decision review officer? Have you ever heard of the term? All right, now we're moving on to this question. If you've heard of a decision review officer, put a yes in the chat. You can put a Y. Yes or Y. If you haven't heard, put a no. Have you ever heard of the term? Because when I heard, I said, what is a decision review officer? And this is a very important position. No. Okay. Donald never heard of it. Okay. Anybody else ever heard of it? Okay. Let us know if you ever heard of a decision review officer. Because I had to find out only when it was on my one of the people that were helping me with my claim. Let me know. Here we go. Okay, so we got Dennis heard of it. Shout out, Dennis. Give us let us know your branch of service and where you're contacting us from. You know, what state you're living in or country. Now, this is important. Okay, I had never heard of, but you know how important this position is, because this position is so important that if you get a decision review officer, I ain't gonna say it can speed up your claim, but it can take time off your claim. And most time the claim is gonna go faster. I'll explain why in a minute. Because when you go to the Board of Veteran Appeals, those are taking 3, 5 to 10 years. I mean, 3, 5, maybe more years. Now we got Dennis in the house, okay? Dennis is from Ohio and the U.S. Air Force. Shout out to the Air Force. Shout out to the Army, Navy, the Marines, Coast Guard, and Space Force. Because, you know, they're part of the team now too, okay? Now, let's see here. Let's find out what this decision review officer is, or DRO. I want you to become very familiar with this term, okay? Because if you ever have, let's say you straight right now, but they try to call you in for a reevaluation, we need to know the job description of what a DRO is. So why we need to know that? Why is that even important? Well, we're going to move on. We're going to find out. Whoever you deal with at the VA, you need to know their job description so you can hold them accountable. But I know what you're saying. Most of the time, you don't know who's working on your claim. They don't put their name on the form, right? This is for a reason. Something happened back in, I believe, the 50s, 1950s, where somebody didn't get the decision that they wanted, and they went to the person that was on their claim, and bad things happened. That's all I can say about that, okay? So they try to be as discreet as possible about who's ever handling your claim. Now, this person, a decision review officer or DRO, is a senior level VA employee. All right. So a lot of times when people are handling your claim, they're not senior level people, and you wonder why they're giving so many dumb decisions. Okay. If you just come in, tell us your name. I mean, not your name, your branch of service, and what country or state you're living in. All right. So this is a more experienced person. So if you have somebody handling your claim that's a decision review officer, they'll have more knowledge than a lot of the people that are working on the other people that handle your claims. And they deal with, let's see what they deal with. So what their purpose is: responsible for VA appeals after a decision has been made unfavorably to veterans. So meaning, if you had an appeal and the appeal was denied, they take it from there. All right. Or you got a denial, they'll handle that. The DRO main role is to review VA decision letter, okay, evidence, and VA law to ensure a proper decision was given. So they like a person that goes back and look over the case because they're so experienced and seasoned. Okay, so if you don't know these things, you won't know who to go to. All right, we got 14 in the house right now. Thank y'all for providing us. Joining us. Now, remember the importance of this two things the reason that you would go to try to get a decision review officer. Or one, your appeal was denied. That's one reason, okay? Now, that's one of the key reasons people get a decision review officer. But there's also another one. What is that one? That's dealing with the fact that you didn't, number two, you didn't get the decision that you wanted. You felt you should have got a higher rating. The rating was lower than you feel the evidence proved. Remember, if the VA is not going by the evidence, if they're not following the evidence, you can appeal. And you point out to them, you didn't follow this, you didn't follow that. That's how you do that, okay? As we do each live stream, I'm going to go in more detail about these things. So yeah, you have a right to appeal. If you feel like you didn't, you can appeal the appeal. All right. Now we're going to start going over the form. So this is important. Okay. We got 13 in here and we appreciate you. Now, dealing with the form, we're going to highlight the sections that we cover. The first one is we need to know who the DRO is, or the decision review officer. They're part of the appeal team at the regional office at the VA. All right. So what would be the benefits of having this person? Often faster decisions than waiting on the Board of Veteran Appeals. Now, once you get your denial, you have 60 days to say you want a decision review officer. Okay. Now, you might meet with them, or they may just make a decision without meeting with you at all. Now, let me ask, anybody in here has ever requested a decision review officer? Put a 1 in the chat. Well, don't put a 1. Put a Y for yes. If you've had a decision review officer, look over your claim and put a N for no, or you can put no, or you can put yes. All right. If you're aware. If you haven't, if you don't know what they are, just put no. Now, veterans must submit a written request. All right. So we got Donald said no. Okay. Donald said nah, he's never had it. Let's see what we got Metro in the house. We getting more people coming. We appreciate your participation. Now, Metro said no also. Dennis says no. All right. Now, the veteran must, I think I read, a veteran must submit a written request for appeal to be reviewed by the decision review officer within 60 days of the notice of disagreement. Somebody tell me another name for notice of disagreement. Do y'all know what it is? It's on the page. What's another? They don't really call it notice of disagreement. Back in the day, when we're dealing with the hypothetical Mr. John Brown in our case. And what's another name you think for notice of disagreement? It begins with an A. Everybody got it? Well, I'm gonna go with it's appeal. See, I didn't know that. Somebody must have put it in there. Okay. Okay. So we got, let's see what Dennis saying. We got Dennis in the house here. Okay, you must HLR. Okay. Now, so they call it HLR now, but they've changed the name. But we're going based on what it was then, but it's another name for appeal because the VA gonna change stuff from time to time. If the veteran receives an unfavorable rating from the DRO, they can still file the appeal. So they're going to move faster, so it's not going to hold your claim up. So if you got to go to the Board of Veteran Appeals, this usually is not a long process because they expert at what they do. Okay, so remember where they're working at out of the regional office. Let's keep going. All right, now. They look over the decision review officer, look over it, and this is what they're looking at. See, this is what I want. A lot of times we in the dark, so we're looking at the evidence. So don't apply for things that you don't have evidence or you don't think you can gather the evidence for. Now, the exception is you file the intent to file, and you'll file that a year before you actually. I mean, you have a year, so an intent to file locks in your back pay date. So you have a year to file your claim. So it's very important, okay, that you has anybody in here ever filed an intent to file? Yes or no? Let us know. And so basically, this locks in your back pay date. It's very important. So if you think you want to file a claim, you need time to gather the evidence. You don't have to tell them what you're filing for. All you have to do is tell them, I have an intent to file. So Donald is aware of this intent to file. I found out after my claims. See, everybody aware of me. I was the only one in the dark. Even Andrew know what's going on. Andrew, why nobody told me anything? Huh? This intent to file, this is going to gather extra money because if you wait and file your claim, you miss all that time. Okay? We have several videos talking about intent to file, okay? Now, when you're dealing with, so let's say here, Mr. John Brown, who is our hypothetical person, we're watching his claim, okay? He wanted 100% permanent total at the top of the chart. He put all his evidence at the bottom. He's a Purple Heart recipient. He put his medical records. He put his dental records. He put his DD-214. He had photos when he was in country of his injury. Okay. Okay. So now, by doing this, he got all his evidence together. Then he looked for the laws or had his representative, whoever it is. Look, Donald Noah John Brown. I hope he don't owe you any money, Donald. Maycott. I hope he don't owe you any money. I hope you don't owe you anything. So the evidence has to be backed up by VA law, and you just like they're doing here. Okay, they're connecting their evidence to the law. And we go over it and we make these things simple for you, right? Oh boy, Donald is a character. Now let's go to this next one. We're going to go to this next slide, but remember, your evidence It has to be something that supports your position of what your condition is. Now, where's this handled at? Well, it could be handled at different places. It could be handled, uh, yeah, the person that filed your claim as a VSO, that could be, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay. Now, so so here's your appeal options at the regional office. Okay. So if you're at the regional office, so if you notice, I'm highlighting what we're covering. So first we talked about the decision review officer. Now this is Mr. Brown's code sheet. So we're going over it step by step. So when you do yours, you'll be informed in case you missed anything. So his appeal was handled at the Department of Veteran Affairs at the Houston office. Okay. Now, there's two appeal options you have. We talked about the second one, the appeal reviewed by DRO at the regional office, but there's another part to the appeal team. The appeal reviewed by rating team at the VA regional office. Let me tell you my concern, and y'all tell me what y'all opinion is. I'm gonna put up Mr. Teddy Wilson is in the house, and we got to show some respect. Okay. Uh, what's your opinion? Would you rather do the DRO or the rating team? I want to know your opinion, and we'll talk about it. Let me know. While y'all doing that, I'm gonna read Mr. Teddy's what do you say? Army 89 to 95, 76 Charlie. Okay, still not service connected, but I have my supplemental in now. Wish me luck, y'all. We do wish you luck. Look at our videos, okay? Listen, look at our video. What is a nexus? And that'll help you. So, because you want to be an active part of your claim. I shouldn't have been a slacker. Now, don't beat yourself up for being a slacker. I slacked. Don't beat me up, man, for about 12, 13 years. When they told me no, it hurt my feelings. I say, forget it, man. I'm tired of dealing with the military anyway. All right, now, ain't nobody saying things, so we're going to keep going. Now, when we're dealing, which one? So basically, the decision review office is more experienced. The problem with having a rating team do it, one person may start on your claim and then pass it to someone else. And they might come in there, their supervisor say, hey, give it to somebody else. When you have several people who's working on your claim, now if they let one person stay on it and they're good at it, that's good. Okay. Wow, Mr. Donald has been there for 44 years. Are you ever coming back to the States, Mr. Donald? All right, so remember that when you have that rating team and you wonder why some stuff is overlooked, you can present evidence and they may just put it in a box. But when you have a decision review officer, that one person is responsible. And guess what? By them being responsible, if something go wrong, they can't blame nobody else but themselves. And you can hold them accountable. So they almost always is going to be on their P's and Q's. Remember, they are more experienced, the decision review officer or DRO. Now, so we got Mr. Marvin saying that, hold on, let me make sure. Let me get back there. I'm going too fast. Give me a second here. All right. Let me let it get there and I'm going to pause it. All right. Now, so I had got a little ahead of myself there. Now, Mr. Marvin say the VSO doing good, knows what he is doing. Now, this is important. Let me tell you something about tell him, is a representative. A VSO is a representative. I forget the nomenclature, but it's somebody that's helping you with your claim. It could be the American Legion, with a veteran service officer. Okay. So they're helping. You could be the veteran of foreign wars, VFW. It could be different people that are helping you with this claim. Now, the issue is they got to know what they're doing. And guess what else is important? They need to be able to relate to you so they can know what they're doing, but they don't keep you in the thing, keep you in the keep you in the network of what's going on. It doesn't mean anything if you don't have confidence in what they're doing. Not only do they need to be skilled, they need to know about your claim, and they need to be able to articulate to you what's going on, because a lot of us change if we feel like we're not getting cleared. So Mr. Woodson says that if supplement is denied, what is the next step? Now, supplemental, you got to tell me exactly what a supplemental is, because I haven't used that term in so long. You got to tell me, give me an idea of what you mean by supplemental. Is that a secondary claim? Let me know what supplemental, Mr. Teddy, is. Okay, now, when we're at the third thing now, we're dealing with the date. The date is very important. What is the date? November the 20th, 2015. Why is that date so important? It's so important because that's the date he received the letter, his code sheet, but he also received his decision letter, the whole packet, okay? We're going to talk about everything. He also received his notification letter. So he received three things on that date. All right. He received his decision letter to tell him what they decided, notification letter that tells him what benefits he qualified for, and his VA code sheet. Remember what I told you. They don't want to give you that code sheet. That's right. Veteran service officer, disabled veteran officer. What is the supplemental? If you find out what that supplemental, I forget what a supplemental claim is. Please let me know, because I haven't done it so long. So help me to that. I forget what a supplemental is. But so those are the three things: the decision letter, the notification letter, and the VA rating code sheet that they try to. Oh, secondary conditions. We talked about, Mr. Marvin. If you watch our live stream last night, go back and look at it if you didn't. We covered the what do you call it? What did we cover? We covered the benefits from 0 to 100%. This is the only place you're going to get all of them. The VA don't even have them organized like this without breaking them up into smaller videos. We talked about the benefits you get from 0%, 10%, 20, 30, all the way up to 100, okay? Now, and we talked about secondary claims. They're even more powerful than primary, because you can be, and we'll talk about that in a second. Let me keep my mouth shut. I'm about to talk too much. Now, so these are the things that come in your packet. I'm going to show you examples of each. So examples of these letters, all right? So look on, it should be coming up real soon here. All right. These are copies of your decision letter. If you receive this in your packet, all right. The decision letter, and you see where I got an arrow showing you, you'll be able to see the word decision somewhere on the letter. All right, it's going to be at least 2 to 3 pages or more, depending on how many things that you claim. Also, the notification letter, and you see what it's telling you, or they're informing you of what your benefits are. This is where your dependents are identified. And if you have minor children, when they become a certain age, we see Mr. John Brown, he has a minor child, and that minor child, what's his minor child? Jane. She's going to be she fell off his benefits back in, I think, 2020, and that adjusts how much you make. Here, they tells you about how much you make in a notification, because they inform me of your benefits. We have a video in our library that deals with the notification letter we just showed you, and the decision letter. All right. And the last one is the code sheet. Code shows your comeback code. You see the first arrow. This is the form to the right. it shows the code for your condition. Every condition that the VA compensate for has a code. And so, and Mr. And we see that he has a code here. And even for things that you were denied for, they have a code. All right. It's important. So we you understand and look at these forms, look over your paperwork and make sure that everything is in order. Now back to Mr. Brown. One of the first things you need to make sure of is that your name is spelled right. All right. And make sure that they have your right VA file number, social security number. Now I want to ask up in here, is there anybody that has a file number and they didn't use their social security number? They just put the word file in there if they have a file number. Some of the older veterans, they had file numbers, but many of us are younger veterans. I know Desert Storm, they used our social security number. But some of the older veterans, maybe Korean War, different things. Now, we're going to move on from there. Now, this is what you're talking about. I'm going to ask y'all this here. We're about to get over here. Who has used, if used a VSO like the American Legion, Veteran of Foreign Wars, DAV, if you use one of them, put AL for American Legion, DAV for disabled veterans, what do you call it? Disabled American Veteran, Disabled American Veteran, DAV, or if you use Veteran of Foreign Wars, which is I forget, Veteran, the VFW. Okay. If you used either one of them, let us know. If you use the VSO, just say if you use the VSO, put VSO in the chat. That'll make it easier. If you use one. If anybody handled their claim on their own, let us know. Let us know. If you handled your claim on your own, just put me on there, ME. Let us know if you handled your own claim, because that's helpful to others, because some people are very effective in handling their own claim, depending on the type of claim it is. Okay? So Mr. John Brown had the American Legion representing him. Now let's go to the next thing. Mr. Brown, okay, Metro handled his own business. Okay, so Donald went in with a third party. Anybody put a lawyer on it? If you put a lawyer on it, put ALAW for law. Because some people use lawyers depending on what it was. If you don't mind mentioning, you don't have some Marvin used DAV. Let me put what I did. Everybody could participate, so I want to participate. American Legion. I put AL, American Legion. Now, he went in from October the 21st, 1998 to October the 20th, 1992. All right. And if you look on his actual VA code sheet, the dates, always make sure that your dates are right. So let's see, put him up here. Okay, Metro say me, their own claim. I don't know if it's male or female, sorry. We got Donald went with a third party, and we got Marvin used the DAV. All right. And of course, the H-Town vet used the American Legion. So everybody, there are different roads. If you find somebody that can help you, and some representatives are better than others. The key, the goal is for you to be informed. So let's move on. And we want to see on the next thing, branch of service. Now, at this point, let us know if you just come in, let us know your branch of service. It's not too late. Tell us your branch of service and where you're living at now, whether it be in the United States, what state you're living in, or if you're living overseas. Shout out. Because I believe we got Donald, I think he's living in the Philippines. And I got several people I know. We all know veterans living in the Philippines. So Metro say they're male. Okay, gotcha. I just want to be respectful, you know. Thank you, Metro. All right, thank you, sir. Now, I would Mr. John Brown was in the Army. Okay? Mr. John Brown. Now, I think let me ask you this here. Let me see if do you know if there's any Space Force military bases? Has anybody ever been to a Space Force military base? Put a Y for yes, or N for no if you want to respond. Because I think I want to see what y'all think. Have anybody ever been to one? I've heard of one. I think I saw one on the internet. Now I wonder, can we go to it like we can go to other military bases? That would be interesting. So you have the Navy. Let me be respectful. We got checked for Army because that's Mr. Brown. We have the Marines represented. We have the U.S. Air Force, Coast Guard, and Space Force. So that should be, make sure they got your right branch of service on your VA code sheet. This could be a headache if not. Now, here's another one that's very important. When it comes to your discharge status, and don't get discouraged. Now, did anybody hear about the fact that that they're talking about? I think the Secretary of the VA is talking about people that have less than honorable discharge, getting them upgrade. Did anybody hear about that? Let me know. But Mr. John Brown has an honorable discharge, okay? But you can have a general under honorable conditions and still get most of the benefits. But when it comes to bad conduct discharges, when you get dishonorable discharges, you need to get those upgraded, and it can be done. I talked about my cousin last night who was a Vietnam veteran who was self-medicating and got in an accident off base. Yes, you can be service connected for injuries off base, but because him and the guy had certain things in their system, my cousin was kicked out. My hero, one of the greatest people ever met, but he finally got his benefits. So never give up. Try to stay out of, people tell young people, stay out of trouble at least 2 years after you get out, get character witnesses. And we have a program down here called, I did a video about it, Veteran Court, and they help veterans get this is outside the VA, but they work with the VA for veterans who, because many times, let's be honest, a lot of veterans, we end up getting in legal trouble because we neutralize the threat. All right. And so a lot of times you need agencies that can help you if you get into legal trouble for, drinking and driving or things like that. All right. Now, honorable discharge. Let's go. Let's move on. Here's the important one. Now we've run into a snag. Here's an issue. I want everybody to pay attention. Okay. VA combat status codes. Now we see that Mr. Brown has a 1. That is an error, and that is a problem. Because look at the 1, it says no combat disabilities. But when you look down where it's highlighted, it says service connected Gulf War incurred. When you look farther down under the section, they say subject to compensation. You better check. You better check to make sure your code is correct. So the VA won't be janking you around. Make sure you get that corrected. So let's see what Teddy talking about here. If your supplement claim is denied, what is the next step? HLR or another supplemental claim? Well, you have a year to respond. Get with the if it's denied, you can appeal the claim. All right. I think a supplemental is just like any other, but get with your if you have a VSO, get with them and talk to them about it. I'm gonna look more into that and I'll find out for you after the because I haven't done that in a long time. I'm gonna have to look in there and I'm gonna get some information and I'll get it back to you. Okay, no problem, Teddy. I'm gonna talk to my boy tomorrow who has more information on that. Now, here's the situation. He has a one. He sent in information, Mr. Brown did, to correct. If you get any document from the VA or the VA hospital that is incorrect, you need to put something in writing. Don't tell them that this is incorrect, that they put something wrong on my DD 214, on my paperwork from the military, my in-service military records, or they say you filed and you can appeal that. Say, or if a doctor over at the VA said something that you didn't say, you can fight that. So look over your medical records. I had a doctor that said I said that I was never in Desert Storm. All right, here we go. Teddy just subscribed. Thank you. All right. We got a subscriber. We're gonna get to that in a second. Oh, he's ahead of me. But please do subscribe. We appreciate it and get the word out. Now, first code, we see there, he had an error. Now let's see when he corrected his code, what happened. He had a 1. So he had a 1. Now, when he got his paperwork straight with the VA, yeah, you can make them correct things, but you need to document it properly. Send a copy with the error, show evidence that you are a combat veteran or not a combat veteran, or whatever the codes, or you're compensatable or not compensatable. We're about to go over all that right now, dealing with the combat codes. The first combat code is no combat disabilities. Well, we know they messed up with Mr. Brown because he was in Desert Storm, and they say his injury, his PTSD, occurred while he was in what? He was in Desert Storm. So that's a contradiction. If you find any contradictions on your VA compensation paperwork, let us know, okay? Let us know. Hold on, let me do something here. Let me get a little jazzy here. Let me get something here. Give me a second. I'm trying to and I'm trying to make this a little lower. Put a little something on here. Put a little music on now. Now, here we go. Another thing was with Mr. Let me turn the music down a little bit. So now with Mr. The next thing, once he corrected it, the second combat code is the second combat number 2. 1 or more combat disabilities and all are compensatable. Follow me. So Mr. Brown has PTSD, that's the only one that's service connected. So he got 1 or more and it's compensatable. So check the box for that. He has the 2, so he's straight. But let's talk about the other codes, okay? It's important that we cover the other codes. There's 2 more. Let's get to that. Let me do something with the comments. Now, the third one, 1 or more combat disabilities and none are compensatable. So you got combat disability, but they're not compensatable. You saying that's confusing. What does that mean? That means you have a 0 rating for it. That's all that means. See, the VA like to speak and all this here thing. See, if it's compensatable, number 2, that means you got a 10% rating or higher. That's all that means. Number 3, if you have a code number 3 in your combat code, that means 1 or more your you got 1 or more combat disability and none are compensatable. That means you might have 1 0 rating, 2 0 ratings, 3 0 ratings. All right, and they're related to your combat service. Okay, but you got 0 ratings for them. I had a 0 rating for post traumatic stress. All right, so I filed back in the day. I fell under the number 3. I had 1 or more combat rating, but it comes I had a 0 rating for it. That means they don't pay you for it. Okay, but you are service connected. Now, number 4, the last combat code, 1 or more combat disabilities, some are compensatable, meaning you might have some 0 ratings, or you might have 10% for this, 0 for this. So you got a mixture of things, okay? But all these are combat codes, you were in combat. Now, if you wasn't in combat and you got injured stateside, you're gonna probably be at number 1. All right. Now, why is it important to bring up? It don't matter if you're service connected, whether you're combat related or not, long as you get your benefits for your injuries. But the thing is, if you are a combat veteran, you are considered to be uh, you are considered to be a reliable historian, meaning that you can write a letter about your experience because nobody was sitting there recording everything when you were going through it. All right. I think the same is true for military, uh, trauma, violation, military sexual trauma. I think the same may be true for that. Okay. But you got to have evidence document. You got to make sure you got the dates together. All right. Now, let's move on. We're going to find out. So here's the thing. We were talking about the zero rating. If you have two zero ratings, do you know what we said last night? And y'all need to know this. If you have, let's say you got two zero ratings. That's all you got. Two, three, or five zero ratings. If you got two or more zero ratings and it affects your ability to work, they're supposed to give you 10%. Did you know that? Is there anybody that has two or more 0% ratings and that's all they got? If you do, and if it's affecting your ability to work, they supposed to compensate you for it. All right. So we talked about that in the last live stream. Now we're gonna move on, and we want to, if this has been informative, like, share, and subscribe. All right, now let's move on. Here's an important thing we talked about earlier: future exam schedule. Now, if you're permanent in total, you don't supposed to have any future exam schedule. We're going to talk about that in detail. Okay. Now, future exams. Anybody in here have any future exam schedule? Just put a yes, a Y for yes, and an N for no. All right. We talked about that earlier. I think I already asked that. Sorry about that. Now, for Mr. Brown, he has none scheduled. So that means most likely either he's 100% permanent total scheduled, meaning he's actually 100%. All right. So we got Mr. Donald have no future exam schedule. Okay. Let's put that up on the screen. And this is what we're trying to get all our brothers and sisters to, where you don't have no future exam. So because you shouldn't have to keep getting reevaluated for your disability. He's way over there in the Philippines trying to enjoy himself. And I think the VA over there is like in Manila or something like that. Now, here we go. For example, let me get an example. If you had so he had no future exams, but let's say you had a future exam. Look over to the left. For June 19th, 2025. You need to that would be on your paperwork, and they will let you know. Okay, so you need to be aware of this. Keep track when they send you this paperwork. Open up everything you get from the VA because if you miss that, you're going to have problems. So what you do, Mr. Marvin, make sure that you have, he says he has a future exam schedule. Make sure that your mailing address is correct. Always verify with the VA that your mailing address, call that 1-800 number and get them to confirm by sending you some mail. Ask them for something that they got to send to you because you don't want that CMP to go anywhere. And also over at the VA hospital, make sure your address is straight because you don't want to go to an old address and they say, well, you missed the CMP exam. Oh, I moved from that. That's not their problem. And they very slow about it. Took one veteran 4 years to get another CMP exam and a lot of fighting. Okay. Now, let's see what we got here coming up. Now, the next part, we're almost halfway through the letter. The next part is the jurisdiction. Okay. The notice of disagreement, which is another name for appeal that they use right now, received on 8/15/2014. He said he has a hearing exam coming up. Mr. Marvin say you have a hearing exam. Y'all keep track of your exams, okay? Now, why do you think they chose? See, that's the same back pay date. August the 15th, 2014. That's the same day that they back pay his money to. Now, can they give you an earlier effective date? Yes. If you can show continual treatment, or if they made a mistake on an earlier claim where they're supposed to give you money, they might end up paying you back 5, 10, 20 years. Now, if you just getting out the military, this is key, and I want y'all to understand this. I think you got about a year to file, and they'll go back to the day that the entry happened in the military. So it's important that you file before you get out the military. You can actually get a medical board that can help you. Tell any of your family, your children, or nieces, nephews, brothers, and sisters, let them know about it. And they can go to the VA regional office. And if depending on the condition, if you spend a certain amount of time, I know y'all may not know this. If you spend, I have it in another video. If you spend a certain amount of time in the mental health hospital up at the VA, they'll give you 100% for post-traumatic stress disorder. If you have post-traumatic stress disorder for a whole year, didn't know that, did you? So this is important. All right. Now we moving right along. We're moving right along. Now here's the codes coming up now that kind of gets confusing, and I know it. Because now, so that's why the H-Town vet is here to hip you to the game. You want to know everything that's on this sheet. It's the associated claims, and it has the numbers what 174. That just means a hearing was conducted. That's their code. Remember, we're breaking the code. All right, 174. Hearing conducted by DRO, decision review officer, and a decision was made on April 21st, 2015. All right. The DRAS Disability Rating Activity Site. All right. So that's what a DRAS, this is where they made the decision at. I don't know where this site is. I don't know if you have ever been to one. Now, let's see what we got. John in the house. Hold on. We got, what's up, H-Town vet? Navy, Desert Storm, veteran here. Got my letter for 3 denied claims today. Now, this is what you need to do. John, we're glad you're here. If you get a chance, please subscribe and like us, because we got a whole bunch of videos to help you. I was denied, whew, I was denied by 4 or 5 times. I actually went into the thing, into the CMP exam and told them there's nothing wrong with me. After I got tired of dealing with them, on that 4th one, I said, "It's nothing wrong with me. Leave me alone. I'm working." Do you know they service connected me when I said wasn't nothing wrong with me? How backwards is the VA? Now, you need to find, this is what you need to do, Mr. Jim. You need to look at your denial letter, and they're going to tell you why they denied you. That's the first thing. And what you can do to get a higher rating. And you need to find evidence that supports what they say. Whatever you need to do to get a higher rating, you need to find the medical evidence that's related to what they're saying there. So you need to find the rating schedule for your disability. For post-traumatic stress disorder, it's the general ratings for mental health conditions or mental health disorders. And they've got it breaking down. If you go on our video, PTSD claims, you'll see each one. That's why it's important to have this code. These codes will get you there. You see the code that's on here? Find out the code for your condition. That's why we're going over this code sheet. Find out the code for your condition, and you'll find out what the rating schedules, meaning what symptoms that they're looking for. And then when you find out the symptoms on the code sheet, you go to the VA and ask your doctor, see if they got any medical records of your symptoms. Once you do that, You can go to your outside doctor, if not that, and ask that doctor, "Hey, see if it's anything. What am I diagnosed with?" And a key thing to get, go over to the VA hospital and get a copy of your problems list. It's a list of everything that you are diagnosed with at the VA, whether it's service connected or not. Okay? Because like Mr. Brown here, he's service connected for PTSD, but he also suffers from depression, which is not service connected. I mean, I think it might be secondary, but he has other things like I think diabetes, but it's not service connected, even though it's on his problems list at the VA regional office. I mean VA hospital. I'm sorry. Now, my good friend, we ain't talking right now because he's crazy. He was in the Navy at Desert Storm. He told me about, he was I was on land, I was in tanks, of course. Me, I'm a 19 kilo tanker. They were shooting stuff over our head, but I didn't know he was over there. I didn't know he had got put over there. But they had to go on all those empty ships. I don't know if you had to go on those empty ships to make sure they clear. And from what they were telling me, there was mines that Saddam had put mines in the ground. I mean, in the water. So that's what I heard. But I was on land. Now let's move on here, and it's really important because here's the thing: they're going to let you know in this next section. They're going to let you know what you're service connected for and what you're not. Look at the arrows. I want y'all to look at the arrows. Okay? What's subject to compensation are the things that you are service connected for. If it's non-service, if it's not service connected, NSC, which is the third arrow, that means you can't get no money for it. Okay? That means non-service connected. See, there's a difference between non-compensatable and non-service connected. All right. Now, for Mr. Brown, for post-traumatic stress disorder, he is service connected, so he can be compensated for that. Okay. But when it comes down to toward the bottom, chronic fatigue syndrome, called CFS, he's not service connected, so he can't get compensated for it. All right. Now let's keep moving. And let's deal with Mr. Brown's post-traumatic stress disorder that was incurred doing when he was in what? When he was in Desert Storm. Now, here's the issue. When he occurred this, that you have to make sure he has a comeback code too. Go back over the video and you'll see that for those that didn't. And this is the key here. All of you that has any condition, I want you to take on your time and find out what the code is for your condition. For Mr. Brown, his code for post-traumatic stress disorder is 9411, 9411. And guess what? This is the importance of breaking the code because guess what it's going to do? It's going to tell you every symptom and things to qualify for. For example, there is a condition. I can't say the name of it, it's a long name, but it affects many. Oh, Bernie's back in the house. Bernie's back in the house. Salute. You called me again, Bernie. I did prompt two. I am doing one next week, so we'll be waiting on that one. Okay, next Tuesday I plan on doing another live, but I had to shoot out of the night because I want to come out. I didn't want to interrupt our weekend because I want to do another. So remember, whatever your condition is, there's a code that go with it. If you are service connected for your feet, there's a code that go with it. If you're service connected for certain parts of your back, there's a code that go with it. All right. Salute to you too, sir. Salute to Bernie. Bernie stuck with us. We was here 3 hours the other night. Now, I think it may have been last night. I don't remember. Now, so remember, find out the code for all of your conditions and make sure that you are being properly compensated for them. See, this is important. See, once you find out, hold on, I got this symptom. code say I got this symptom. The code say I got this symptom. I'm supposed to be have a higher rating. Okay, the code for post-traumatic stress disorder to be at 100%, and I got other videos that talk about this. That are certain symptoms. If you are disoriented in space and time, like you don't know where you at sometime, that's part of post-traumatic stress disorder. If you can't keep yourself clean, you terrible hygiene, that's all these are characteristics of 100% rating, and that's why you need to find the code for your condition. Okay, we're breaking the code tonight. For post-traumatic stress disorder, it's 9411. Or it could be another one symptom at the 100% level for post-traumatic stress disorder is delusions. All right. Or it could be there's several others. And if you all you need is one at that 100% level, and you got an argument, hey, my back, my leg, I can't move this. And if here's the cat, and you take that code and that law, and you show them, you put it on a piece of paper. Here's my condition. This is the law that back it up. All right. Here's my condition, and Mr. Brown, here's my post-traumatic stress disorder, and these are the conditions. I have hallucinations. My doctor said it's in my record. I have I get disoriented. I go places I don't remember where I'm at. This is all good. Now let's move on. Now, now once you're there, the next step is being service connected. Well, we see that Mr. Brown is service connected because he was in tanks. Okay, he was a tanker, so his military service in tanks is connected to his PTSD. This is called a nexus or connection between your military service and your current condition, because you have to prove that your condition was either occurred while you were in the military or it was aggravated. So let's say you went in with flat feet. You had flat feet before you went in the military, but it was aggravated by the military. Okay. Let's say you had a skin condition. There's a skin condition that affects black men a certain way. And because of the curliness of our hair, I forget the name of it. And so many, you see some veterans, black American veterans, who have to wear beards because they have the skin scars up. There's a service connection for that. Okay. Frostbite, because of the some of us black people are darker, they got frostbite. There's a service connection for frostbite. You need to find out whatever, list all your symptoms. Now let's see what Mr. John saying over here. Mr. John say I also got diagnosed by a private doctor for two symptoms that were presumptive from the PAC Act. Now I want to hear this because this is interesting because I'm a Desert Storm veteran, which I met the time frame in Desert Storm. Wonder if they will deny any suggestions before I file. No, I have questions, not necessarily suggestions. Are you already 100% permanent total? If you are, is it worth opening up a claim? Because whenever you open up a claim, they can they can start looking at your conditions. If you already got all the benefits, you got okay. If you 20%, go for it. Go for it. You ain't got nothing to lose. You ain't gonna stop until you get to 100%. Okay. And if you were over there, John, we were near those explosions. I don't know if you remember they blew up some vehicles. I don't know if you was in that area where we were, and they sent me a letter saying that chemicals we were exposed to sarin gas, but they said it was low levels. But because I already got all my 100%, I kind of left the PAC Act alone. But this is critical for a lot of people. Get with a service, a veteran service officer that can help you with that if you have it. And question them and make sure they know what they're talking about. This is key. So John said he got 20%. We want you to get past that 20% too. We want to keep going. Now let's see what's next. Now, this is the most important term. It's one word. So where you won't have no future exams, where you'll be permanent and total. See, the little boy got the static in his hair. I like that. I had to get that one there. This word is important. You know what that word is? Static. Once the VA determines a disability to be static, it will be considered permanent in nature. What does that mean? Condition is not likely to improve. If you can get a doctor to say that about your condition, whatever it is, that is not likely to improve, get you an outside doctor. If they say it's likely to improve, just don't turn the paperwork into the VA. You there to tell the VA because you say that might be a bad what you call it. You don't have to give them nothing that's against you. You there to tell them what's wrong with you, not what's right with you. It's like a mechanic. So you go to an outside doctor, and your doctor do an objective evaluation of you. Okay, you can't coerce them. Just tell them, hey doc, what you think? This while I was in the military. Show them some of your VA paperwork and let them go over it. Okay. Now, so static, meaning it's stationary, that your condition is not likely to improve. It's gonna stay in one place. Well, if that's the case, if that means that you ain't gonna get no better. You can't work. If you're in a place that could be static at 70%, but if you get an increase to 100%, that don't mean it's gonna be static at 100%. So you got to make sure your condition is static at the percentage that you are at. Now, the last thing is important. When we talked about that, if it's static, there's no future exams. Why is there no future exam? Because it's not likely to improve. All right. It really means no future exam schedule. Because we talked about how the VA will actually, they will actually schedule for exam if you're 100% permanent total. Watch our video. We have a video on that. Unwarranted re-examinations. Watch that video. Now we're almost through here. Let's keep it going. We're gonna go over this code sheet. Now, this is another important part of this document, this VA rating code sheet. Guess what's important? This is the only document that I know lists all your percentages and the date that you got them. Wouldn't this be very powerful for your family to have if something happens to you? So if they have to fight the VA and they're saying they don't want to give you a spouse, all down, this makes it simple. When, so we know when Mr. Brown was 30%, he got 30% back in 2005. He got 50% back in 2007. He got 70% back in 2010. And then he got 100% the date we're talking about, August 15th, 2014. But in between, we're going to talk about he was unemployable for a while, but it's not mentioned because here they're just talking about his straight scheduler ratings. When you get to the combined ratings, that's different. Remember, that's what unemployability is covered under. So let's talk about it. Let's go to the combined rating. Because who in here, anybody got a combined rating? Put a C on in the chat. Put a C if you got a combined rating, meaning you got more than one disability, or you got IU where they're paying you at 100%. 70, 60, 70, 80, or 90, but paid at the 100% rate because of unemployability. Now, we're going to talk about these combined ratings. What I want you to understand about these combined ratings, and we went over this chart last night, but because Mr. Brown, okay, 70% IU, that means Mr. Bernie, let's look at him. He's an excellent case. He has a 70% rating, and he's paid at the 100% rate with IU. Now, because he has IU, it's a temporary rating. He may have a evaluation in the future. But if he had TDIU, that's just like that's a permanent total rating, just like 100% permanent total schedule. The only difference is the work requirements for what TDIU. But with I had IU before, and I filed for permanent total. I mean, I filed for 100% permanent total. You got to ask the VA for what you want. Okay. Now, How do you qualify? First, to qualify to be able to file for unemployability, there's two situations. The first one with Mr. Brown, if you watched the video from last night, you'll know the other one. But when it comes, Mr. Bernie has a 70% rating. So veterans are eligible to file a claim for individual unemployability if one service-connected disability is rated 60% or higher. So if you have one condition that's 60% or higher and it prevents you from having gainful employment, meaning you don't have enough employment to take care of yourself or provide for your family, that you file for. That's important. All right. And you can always get that raised to 100% permanent total or TDIU. Now we're almost done. Now the other ones are the unserviced, the ones that are not service connected. So you need to look at those because now this is important. Talking back to John with the PACT Act, you go back and look at your rating code sheet, your VA rating code sheet, and see if they denied you for some things on there, and they were related to the Gulf War. We see that Mr. Brown tried to get chronic fatigue syndrome, and there's a code number next to it. He tried to also get oil well fire exposure, right? So if he would have kept fighting it and putting the pill in every year, so you got a year to appeal, they might have to go all the way back to when he first filed his claim. But he just kind of gave up on it, okay? That's important. If it's not service connected, you can still fight for it because that doesn't mean it ain't. That means they just didn't approve it. All right. Now let's get over here. Now here's the finale. There's something on this document that ain't on any other compensation document. And here's the cue right here. Get ready for it. It tells you who the decision review officer is. In Mr. Brown, Mr. John Brown case, it was J.B. Scales, who was the decision review officer or the individual that proved his 100% permanent total for post-traumatic stress disorder. All right. Now, we're done tonight, y'all. Any questions of me? Anything you want to that some of the chat might be able to help you also? Any questions of the information that we covered? Oh, John asked a great question. You got to go over there to that regional office and ask for it. I wouldn't call no 1-800 number. I would put in a request on that supported claim form, the form that you can use that for almost anything, and you need to be specific. I want my VA rating code sheet. Okay? I want my VA rating code sheet. That's what you need to do. We got to say, Donald, thank to y'all also. I was hoping that I gave you the information in a good way that helped. Now, I appreciate you. I'm glad that y'all can hear me. Hold on. Look, Bert, y'all going to give me the big head. Listen, I already have a water head because it runs in my family. Don't make it where I can't get through the house because my head tipping over. Come on. Awesome show tonight. Okay. Now, any questions other than that? Just let me know. But you need to apply. If you have trouble doing it yourself, get the decision review officer, your VSO. They should be able to get a copy of it for you. Mine got a copy for me. Okay, that's the key way. So make sure that they're your power of attorney because they have to be your power of attorney. You know, a lot of times we jump from one to the other. Now, any other shout outs? Anybody want to say, you know, what it, make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you have. Thanks again. Okay, thanks again, Melvin. Shout out to Melvin. Anybody else want to say some goodbyes on here? Some shout outs? Anybody else want to say anything to the group? You got any comments on what they were saying? We're gonna use these last 2 or 3 minutes to shout out. Okay. H Town Vet. Hold on. See, John, I enjoyed, subscribe, hope to get involved in more lives. We gonna keep if y'all keep doing me like this, I don't mind you correcting me. Let me tell you something. if I'm wrong about something, let me know because sometimes what happens is they change the rules. Just like with the VA disability life insurance, I didn't know they had changed over to VA life. So a veteran told me, and I was grateful to that. Now look, uh, now hold on, look, guess what? Through that VSO that you have, now here's another. This is important that y'all know this. Thank you, Donald. Yes, you can get a copy of your CMP exam. Sometimes they got access right to your file now. Back in the day, it took them a while to get it. My VSO about 10 years, about 7, 8 years ago, they printed it right off. And guess what else? You want me to tell you? He was able to get my code sheet too, right there off his computer. Huh? Did you hear what I said? He got that VA rating code sheet. And guess what? We're gonna do another video on that's gonna take me a lot now. We're gonna do another one on that CMP exam. It takes me a lot of energy to do this here, okay? All right. Now, anybody else want to say some final shout outs? Anybody else want to tell everybody goodbye? And we'll see y'all on the next one. Anybody? So let me put mine in there. Thank you. Thank you. Let me put a little something in there for y'all. Thanks. Thanks for joining us. Okay. Let's see what it said. He said here, mine just told me he can't get it for me. So that means if he said you can't get it, you request it direct and you go to another, find somebody that can help you with it. So before you sign up with a new, go to another VS organization or somebody else. You know what the women say. If you won't pay my bills, I know somebody who will. She don't wait around when a woman ain't gonna wait around if she got any sense. If you say you ain't gonna do it, she gonna find somebody else that will. Just like I tell you because I date women. So that's what I'm saying. I ain't beating up on women. You say a woman is concerned about her immediate situation, her and maybe her children, and what you can do to make. So guess what? You need to be concerned when it comes to the VA about your immediate situation, whether you're a male veteran or female veteran. Okay. Now, and we want to thank y'all. And this ends our live stream for today. And I hope you gotten information. Go back over our video library, and you're going to find a lot of topics that will be helpful and useful. Please, and get the word out and let others know. And thank you for joining. You have a wonderful night.